All right, welcome back, guys, to another episode of the podcast. And today we are joined by fellow podcaster Chris. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on your podcast show. I appreciate it. I heard this is like one of the biggest up and coming podcast shows there are right now, so exactly. I'm honored to be on it.
Exactly. Now, to preface, you may have guessed this from the title, but me and Chris are related, and he's my dad. So if you hear me refer to him as Pops or Dad, that's why. Anyway, so Chris, tell us a little bit about you and what your podcast is about.
So the podcast that I started is called Straight Questions and Straight Answers. And basically the reason why I started the podcast was that there was another gentleman that used to work with me who has a dream of starting a podcast. Mm-hmm. And he's had this dream for many, many years, but for whatever reason, he just hasn't been able to do it. And so I had lunch with him not too long ago, and we were just kind of talking about that. And I asked him about his podcast. I said, how's your podcast coming along? Have you got it off the ground? Have you started it? That type of thing. And he kind of came back with no, he hadn't got it started yet, although he really wanted to do it. So he was kind of lacking the motivation to do that. Mm-hmm. So I kind of leveled the challenge to him, and I made the challenge public. I put it out on Twitter, put it out on Instagram to him, where he's a big user on Instagram, and just basically said, listen, let's make this happen. I said, I'll start a podcast, you start a podcast, let's see who can get to the first 100 followers on your podcast. Whoever does wins. And so I gave him a one-day advantage start over me, and then the next day I went out, made my podcast, and I've just been producing podcast episodes ever since. I think I've made 7 episodes, something like that so far. Nice. Just kind of pushing it up, just kind of trying to get it done, put it out there. Each week I go ahead and let him know that, I'm saying that I'm still pushing forward. I'm at about, I'd say roughly 40 followers right now on the podcast, and I'm just pushing forward, trying to get to that 100 so that I can win a dinner out of this guy. So that's why I started the podcast.
All right, you heard him, guys. Go follow him so you can get a free dinner. So I thought his podcast aligned with mine, so I reached out to him. Just yelled at him downstairs and asked him if he wanted to be on the podcast, and he was down to get together, and by him being here, the answer to my question. And today we will be talking about the 7 golden hours most of you miss every day. My dad is a huge believer in this, and these 7 hours. And why don't you tell them what hours of productivity they are missing?
So basically the way I look at it is that I get up early in the morning so that I can go ahead and get my workout in the morning, read for some time in the morning, right? Get my breakfast out of the way, that type of stuff. So I have all that stuff done before most people get up in the morning. Something I learned in the military, something that other huge podcasters like Jocko Willink and stuff like that talk about today. Just getting up early. I've always just kind of got up early. So I get up early to do that, and then basically I start working in the morning around 8 in the morning until about 4 in the afternoon, doing my normal job, which I'm in cybersecurity. So I do cybersecurity for a public company, public tech company now. I used to do it for the state, but I do it for a public tech company now. And then basically, my thought process is after I get done with that job, then it's time to start, working on my own things. Right. So from about 4 until midnight, I just grind out, doing my side hustles, working on other things, working on my own podcast, working on my own blog posts, working on my own, YouTube videos and channel and things like that. So just trying to, get out there. And I really think that a lot of people don't maximize that time. I mean, a lot of people are firm believers in, they need 12 hours of sleep a day. And, that's for some people. Some people do need that. But for other people who don't need that much sleep or don't need quite as much sleep, you have those hours to get out there and grind on whatever your passion is. I mean, maybe your passion is, or a side hustle is something that you want to start a new business, or maybe you want to write a book, or whatever that may be. You have those hours to do it and to get out there on social media, get known, get your message out, that type of thing. So that's what I try to do in those other hours until midnight.
So you say these hours can range from between like 5 to 12, or you can get up in the morning and go from like 5 to whenever you have to go to work, right?
Sure.
So it can range from 7 hours. It can go from like 5 to 8 to 9 hours. But what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no. I think that a lot of people today, they go and they grind out at their 8-hour-a-day job or 10-hour-a-day job or whatever it is, and when they get done, they're just like, I'm just so spent. I'm just gonna go, lay on the couch for the rest of the night and watch Netflix or something like that, and they easily burn 5 to 6 hours a night every night, just doing that, just watching that, Whereas if you listen to some people like Gary Vee, like I said, Jocko Willink, a bunch of other people, Tim Ferriss, if you listen to any of those people, those are golden hours that you can get out there, and like I said, starting that side hustle is not going to pay you initially. You're not going to be making like the big bucks initially. But the goal is to make enough to cover your expenses yearly, and then everything after that, you want to make passive income. Then that's all icing on the cake after that. So, like I said, you've got to start somewhere, and that's one way that you can start.
Exactly. So you kind of already covered this, but what are we supposed to do in these hours?
Well, there's a lot of things that you can do in those hours. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Like I said, let's just take, for instance, writing a book, right? If you wanted to write a book, it would be easy to write a couple thousand words in those hours every night. You know what I'm saying? Whether, there's multiple philosophies on how to write a book, but some people just write. They might write anywhere to 3,000 to 5,000 words a night, and maybe they don't use all those words. Maybe they go back and edit them later on or whatever, but if they're consistently doing that day after day after day, it doesn't take long for you to write a book if you do it that way. And so just taking your overall goal and breaking it down into little bite-sized pieces. I think too that a lot of people, they do social media for like fun nowadays, which I'm not saying you can't do it for fun, but I think you should also, if you have a side hustle or if you have a message you're trying to get out or something like that, then you should put that time into your day, and you should be active on social media, getting out there like on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, wherever you may be, whatever your platform may be, and trying to get your message out to people. Because if nothing else, at the end of the day, that is like one facet of what you're trying to do. You get your message out, and then when you have a product or something that you want to share or something like that, then you have an audience already. And so I think a lot of people don't start because they don't think they have anybody who wants to hear their message. But if they're actively out there each and every day, like on social media, building this community, building this, tribe of people, then all of a sudden they figure out, I do have a community of people who do want to hear what I have to say, and hopefully that will drive them forward to be able to, accomplish whatever they want to do. But like I said, during those hours, I would make time to do whatever your side hustle is. I would make time for social media. I would make time for anything that's really growing your own personal brand, business, media, company, whatever it is that you're doing. Use those hours to grow that.
All right. Gold nuggets right here, guys. So how can we be more productive during these hours?
Well, I think it's just to make sure that you have a plan in place, and then break that plan down into little accomplishable goals every day.
So like a to-do list.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, a to-do list, a checklist, whatever that may be. Whatever your goal is, just break it down. Keep breaking it down until it gets to the smallest pieces that you can do every day. So say, like I said, let's take it, for instance, writing a book again, right? If your goal is to have a book done by Christmas, right? Well, then, figure out how many words a day you're going to have to write in order to do that. You know what I'm saying? And then also, take into consideration cover art. And then how long is it going to take you to put that book together to say, put it on Amazon? How long is it going to take you to get an ISBN number? Those types of things. Figure those things out and then work backwards, and then figure out what you need to do each and every day in order to accomplish that goal. And once you figure that out, then it just becomes determination, focus, things like that to go ahead. And like I said, make sure you put in put some social media time in there and stuff like that, to make sure that people are aware of what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish and stuff like that. And I think really if you do that, you'll find that as you're building this community of people like on social media that help motivate you, that help drive you, they'll be like, hey, let's do this. You can do it. And they'll help push you along in those times when maybe you're like, oh, I don't know if I, maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't do this. And I'm not saying that you can't take breaks,
right.
I'm saying in there and go watch a movie or hang out with the family or whatever that may be, get dinner, whatever it is. I'm just saying that there's a lot of prime time that people could be using to, work on a side hustle, side project, business, whatever they may want to do. They're just kind of letting that time slip away.
Right. All right. So, what do you do now, and what do you recommend to our listeners today? So, like, what do you do during these 7 hours of productivity that you have each day?
Sure. So, right now, since I am a dad, you know what I'm saying? I spend some time having dinner,
right.
with the family and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I spend time, try to spend time with each one of the children each night, helping them do whatever they may need to do. But, as far as the grind goes, as far as, these hours of productivity, I always try, I have myself a schedule that I've already laid out. Okay. So I know what I'm doing pretty much each and every day. Right, I have a podcast that I put out on Tuesdays. I have a post that I put out on my website every Wednesday. I've got a YouTube video I put out every Thursday. So so I'm always either putting together audio files for the podcast, or I'm putting together video footage for the YouTube video, or I'm writing for the post, whatever that may be. So I'm constantly always doing something during those times, during that time frame, to either move one of those three things along. Because like I said, those are the three different platforms basically I've decided to, attack and to build on. So those are the things that I focus on. But if your focus, like I said, was writing a book, then your focus would be, try to figure out how many words a night, should you be writing, or how many words a night should you be trying to write with, you know what I'm saying? You might find out that it's 5,000 words, and maybe some nights you're 4,000 words, and you just can't, can't give any more. Maybe other nights you're 8,000 words. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a give and take, but I think that the real value is consistency, is the fact that you just keep going each day, pushing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Pushing forward each and every day, like I said, and you'll achieve your goals. There's a quote once said that, as long as you refuse to quit, you can accomplish anything you want.
Right.
Because if you refuse to quit, then basically you'll never stop. And so if you're willing to never quit, if you're willing to never stop, then you can achieve the goals that you have in life. Within reason, you know what I'm saying? If you're 4'3", physically, it's, not very realistic that you're going to dunk a basketball.
Right.
I'm not saying you can't do it. People like Spud Webb and stuff like that, they weren't very tall. They had calves like a horse, you know what I'm saying? And they could jump up there and slam the ball. But I'm saying minus physical things like that.
Right.
If you have other goals, like I said, in life that you want to accomplish, as long as you keep chipping away at it each and every day, you're consistent with that. You keep pushing forward and pushing forward and pushing forward, and aren't afraid to work hard. I believe you can achieve it.
Nice. All right. Two more questions for you.
Okay.
So why are these hours so important to capitalize on? So why should people even try?
I guess the better question is, why shouldn't you try? You know what I'm saying? Because at that point in time, you're the only one who's holding yourself back. Right? I want to believe that everyone has a passion, or everyone has something more they want to achieve in life. And so why wouldn't you use those hours that you have each and every day to try to do something that you want to do? I realize as an adult, as a parent, I realize that you have to put food on the table. You got to put a house over people's heads. You know what I'm saying? So you have to work that 8-hour job a day right now to provide for that. You know what I'm saying? To take care of that. But in those other hours that you have, why can't you be building something else for yourself that, that down the road, right, could potentially take over and earn just as much money, if not more money, for your family, doing something that you love and that you enjoy and that you don't view as work.
Right.
I mean, so why wouldn't you take those hours and invest those hours every day into something that you truly want to do? Whatever that is. Like I said, if that's, if you want to be a golf legend, I'm saying, and you're out in your backyard swinging the golf club for 3 hours a night, you know what I'm saying? You're writing a book. You want to become a sailor, whatever that is, why wouldn't you be doing something each and every day to capitalize on a passion or a drive or a goal that you want to achieve, instead of just letting that time just go away? I mean, I'm not saying that you can't sit down and watch a Netflix series or a Netflix movie or whatever. I'm not saying that you can't do that. It's enjoyable. That's good to do, from time to time. But all I'm saying is that why would you waste 6, 7, 8 hours a day doing nothing that will give you no return in life? I mean, that doesn't move the peg forward, doesn't move you forward, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because basically, if you slept 12 hours a day, then you work 8 hours a day.
Still got 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours, right? But if you come home and you spend those 4 hours watching TV or who knows what, then you get up the next day, you do it all over again. How have you moved the peg forward? Mm-hmm. You haven't moved the peg forward. You haven't moved yourself forward. You're just existing. Mm-hmm. You're just existing. And I think in the world today, there are plenty of people who are already dead inside that just walk among us like zombies. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing anything to make the world better, to make themselves better, to try to push anything forward. They're just
there.
They're just existing. And who wants to just exist? I mean, nobody wants. I don't think anybody should want to just exist. You want to live. You want to push. You want to be better. You want to make other people better. You want to make the world better. You want to do good things for good people. That's your opportunity to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you would even get more value out of your day if you slept 12 hours, worked 8 hours, and then went and helped somebody or served a cause for those 4 other hours a day than you would just
watching Netflix.
I mean, just hanging out.
Yeah, just chilling.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying you can't do that from time to time, but I'm saying when that becomes your norm, then there's a problem. There's something wrong there. You need to change. So
the overview, because that was a lot of information in a short amount of time. So basically what we said was get your hours in when you can. So whether that be early morning, right after work. So say if you work like a late job, so like you work like a 4 to 9 or something like that. Get your hours of productivity in where you can. Capitalize on your passions. So say if you like reading, you like writing, write a book. If you like creating, make a podcast or make something on social media, or just do whatever makes you happy. Draw, whatever makes you happy. And then just be consistent about it. If you need help with consistency, watch the last episode I made last Monday about consistency. And yeah, so the last question that really doesn't pertain to the topic at hand, but if you could be doing anything, anywhere right now, what and where would it be?
I don't think I'd be doing anything different than what I'm doing right now.
You wouldn't be anywhere else?
No. I want to be here doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
Would you rather be bigger? Would you rather have a bigger audience?
Well, I mean, the thing with that is, right, is it's like we really can't go back. We can't go back in the past. All we can do is build from here forward.
Right.
Right? So it's just like, the way I try to look at the past is that the past is there to remind me of the lessons I've learned.
Right.
Not to haunt me. You know what I'm saying? It's just there to remind me. So I need to push forward. I need to do better. I mean, as far as, people who are 16 to 25 today, you're living in an amazing time where these things are available to you. They've always been available to you. You guys don't know any different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, older folks like myself, we have to learn these things on the fly, and we have to like try to integrate them, and we have to try to use these tools to build and to make better things. Whereas you guys have been brought up with this. This is like everyday practice to you guys. Right. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for you guys, this is already integrated into your life. It's just, why aren't you using the tools to their fullest,
potential?
Yeah, to their fullest potential.
Exactly.
So like I said, as far as where else would I rather be, I wouldn't rather be any place than right here, right now, because like I said, I'm given the opportunity to live this day. So I want to live this day to its fullest. I want to push myself forward as far as I can this day, and then tomorrow will be the next day. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully I get it tomorrow. So like I said, I really wouldn't want to be any place else than right here, because like I said, this is what it's all about, is pushing forward each and every day. It doesn't really matter where you're at, as long as you're pushing forward.
Yeah, there's a quote out there somewhere that says there's beauty in the journey, and then there's another one that says like it's not all about where you want to go, it's what you're doing right now.
Exactly. Well,
and that's the vibe I get.
Yeah, well, and I mean, even people like Gary Vaynerchuk, you've heard him say it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When he talks about the New York Jets, he did a video not too long ago where he was like, somebody asked him, I said, what are you going to do when you get the Jets? And his response was, I hope I really don't. I hope I never get the Jets. And they were like, well, yeah, isn't that like your drive? Isn't that what you've been trying to do for the longest time? And he said, yeah. He says, but I love the journey. I love the battle to get there. He was like, I don't know if I ever really want to achieve that. I just want to, you know what I'm saying? He's like, I want the battle to get there. I want to push myself each and every day. And I mean, I think that's really the point of life. I really think that that is the point of life, is to continue to learn and push yourself each and every day to achieve the goal, whatever goal it is that you put in front of yourself. Keep working on it, keep working towards it, achieve the goal, set a new goal, achieve that goal, set a new goal, and just keep pushing forward your whole life. I think that's really what it's all about.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you guys for also being here. Thank you for tuning into this Monday's episode, or wherever you hear, or whenever you hear this. Look for Thursday's upload. We're gonna do something different. As always, this has been your host, Chris Schenk, with Chris from Straight Talk and Straight Answers, or is it Straight Questions? Because you said Straight Questions at the beginning.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. Is it Straight Talk and Straight Answers, right?
I believe so, yeah.
All right. Well, that will all be in the description. His Instagram, his Twitter, his YouTube, and everything else. And his podcast link will be in there, too. He just did a really interesting one on Labor Day. You guys should check that out. And yeah, this has been another episode of the All In and Then Some podcast. Thanks for being here. Peace.
Thank you, guys.